And we will try to screw it up less next time, although we can't possibly screw it up as badly as the city is screwing this up. And little bad click there. And welcome to This Week in Worcester podcast. I am Tom Marino, editor of This Week in Worcester. I'm here with Mr. John Eric Keogh. He is a featured, valued, amazing, wonderful contributor to This Week in Worcester. He's also president of Hollywood Film Group and executive producer at Manny J Media. Hello, Mr. John.
Hello there, sir. How are you today?
Oh, the tangle webs we weave. Interesting.
Yeah, you like that?
little JFK reference. That was like when I was like 8. That was like my favorite. Not 8, a little older than that, but it was like my favorite movie ever. It's been a week. Things have happened. Things have not happened. Mostly not happened. What have you been up to besides the thing that we're not going to talk about? Wink, wink. Tune into This Week in Worcester tomorrow.
Yes, please pay attention to some articles that we are working on. Some stuff going on. I mean, this week there was a bunch of different things. Yesterday, actually, This Week in Worcester had a cool opportunity. So we got invited by the Worcester Cowboys, the 12 and under team, right? So the 12 and under team for the Worcester Cowboys to their first playoff game over at Westboro High School. And so I got to cover that. That was pretty good. They won 41-0. There's a story that I'm writing for them. If they win next week, they go to the national championship in Florida and will represent the Division II of Central New England or something like that. And they'll go up against a bunch of other teams. So it's pretty cool. That was fun. It was cold.
It's cold.
It was cold, and it was on. So I don't know if you've ever been to Westboro High School, but they have the two different football fields. So the one that's on the hill, and then the one that's like down on the flat. And we were on that one. And man, when the wind whips through that thing, boy, yes,
it can't be better on the hill though.
No, the hill is actually protected by there's like a wall kind of there and like that kind of stuff. But anyways, it's hard to describe it, but it's similar to AAU in basketball. They're like elite, kids, and these are obviously, pre-high school kids, but they're really good. One kid, and hold on, I can say his name. I got permission. Where did I put it? I don't know where I put it. One kid had a spectacular, one-handed catch it was nonsense. One-handed catch in the back of the end zone to win the game, and so. It almost, I would say 95% of the kids on the team are from Worcester. So it was pretty cool to watch the game. So that was cool. This Week in Worcester, getting called to cover all kinds of fun stuff now. So
nice.
That was the majority of the week. That and then editing movies, all kinds of events, different things. On Thursday, actually, Manny, we found out Thursday morning, Manny had gotten nominated for Minority-Owned Company of the Year by the Better Business Bureau. So I had to pull together a squad to go over there, and we did. We went over there and did that. So pretty cool stuff. This week is pretty cool. Absolutely.
Cool. Hello, chat. So nobody? Nothing? Ghost town?
Yeah. No one's there yet.
We don't have the obligatory future mayor check in. Nobody, nothing.
He's there. I can see that he's there, but he just hasn't said anything yet.
Well, fine then.
Oops! I just played you again. because I was clicking into the chat so I could talk I could say. See, like you have your first message already.
There we go. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Oh, there's John. You're right there, but you're right there. All right. Uh, so first, John's item, because I don't know, I actually didn't follow this very closely. Uh, Probably should have, but you're going to inform us all right now about what's going on with ICE at Holy Cross.
Okay, so breaking it was a breaking story like late Tuesday, early Wednesday that Holy Cross was hosting, and they do this on a I don't know, I guess they've done this for about 5 years now. They host an on-campus recruitment event for like federal agencies, and one of the agencies that was present was the Department of Homeland Security, and specifically one of the recruiters was an ICE recruiter. And so that broke around the city, and so there was a protest on Thursday night, a pretty significant protest. Hundreds of people went up there, and what Holy Cross did in response was they moved instead of dealing with it, they just took the interview things and moved it to Zoom. So the kids that were interested in meeting with ICE ended up meeting with them on Zoom anyways. So that still took place. And then the president of the college kind of doubled down and just said, "Hey, we're open to whoever wants to hire our students." Is kind of the approach that he took in the press release. But while still kind of saying like, "Oh yeah, immigration stuff bad," was kind of the message that they did. Um, and so I really think that the takeaway for me, and I appreciate the people that got together to do it. There was some people that were fired up about this that I didn't see them so fired up about election that we just had 2 weeks ago. So that was interesting to see. Um, and so I find myself skeptical with certain people at this point. It's just certain people. It's like, man, you're fired up about that, but where were you, last week, and so what my biggest takeaway is really the disconnect that continues to exist between the city and Holy Cross as an institution. And I think this applies to all the universities in some capacity, because obviously college is like a different universe in some ways. But I would say Holy Cross, more than the other institutions, really truly does not engage with what's going on. And the way that it came across is almost like they didn't. Um, it's like they didn't know about Eureka Street, right? And so I have a hot take. You ready for this hot take?
Go ahead.
Okay, so Holy Cross doing this is 100% the fault of the city manager, the police department, the police unions, and this version of the city council majority. In that, since Eureka Street happened on May 8th, there has been no reconciliation between the rhetoric that came from ICE, that came from the union president, that came from who knows how many idiots on Facebook just saying stuff, and the reality of the situation, which is that Roseanne was arrested illegally. She was a legally present individual in the United States of America. She had a valid immigration status. She was pending asylum, which has since been granted. That's a huge, huge thing. And um, anybody who understands the asylum process understands that that means that she was in that process for a long time, because it does not happen in a day. It happens over a period of a couple of years. Now, we've done a lot of reporting about that, you and I, but there's this disconnect, I think, between the city administration, the city government, and the people who were harmed by Eureka Street, Tom. And so Holy Cross just kind of exhibited this lack of interest or understanding, that this thing has really hurt a lot of people, right? And so, but that's because no one provides them with information, right? So Holy Cross is really that city on the hill, right? They're up on a hill and they're kind of away from everything in the city. They don't really have to deal with a lot of the stuff of Worcester. And so, I think this goes to the overall issue of just a disconnect between what happened that day and how
Hmm.
much it harmed the city, and then the lack of communication, just really poor structural communication issues in the city government and its various entities with a particular section of the Worcester community.
So, like, I agree on all of that in general, but I don't know if that necessarily affects what Holy Cross is going to do, right? So, I would say this: if they have always had federal agencies there at the recruiting stuff, and then if they were going to single out, Homeland Security or ICE and say, you can't come, uh, that doesn't end well either way, right? Um, but Freddie Nathan with a reasonable point as well. Federal funding, whatever they have for public funding. How this administration likes to screw with that. Um, so I mean, I think they're kind of in a damn if they do, damn if they don't situation. Uh, with that said, I mean, yeah, the communication. Well, we talked about communication in general from this government, from this administration we have here in Worcester, and then the city councils, the clown show. So, they don't communicate. I mean, they don't even want they don't even want to answer questions.
Yeah, yeah, we
So,
know that. Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, just the most scared politicians ever. So, I agree with what you said about all of that. I don't know that I necessarily. I think it's I'm feeling like it's a stretch to connect it to Holy Cross. I think they do what they do regardless of anything else that happens.
Yeah, probably. I just think that, if there was a more proactive communications department in the city, there would have been some outreach to the universities. And there's a huge disconnect between the city and the universities. You know, Obviously with the ballot initiative, which passed, but it's illegal, so it's not gonna it doesn't matter. So that it just shows you the lack of communication to people that exists, and it realistically those agreements, whether the pilot agreements, those tax payments that we want colleges to make, those really come from negotiation from city government and holding people accountable and talking about things in the open. Which is what the city of Providence did, and which led to Providence recently having one of the largest pilot funds fees ever from Brown University, right? So like that those it was $100 million, whatever. That's a lot of money. That doesn't normally happen, but that comes from realistically professional city governance, and we just don't really have that all the way. We have some people that do a great job, but there's an overall structure, lack of transparency, lack of communication. So, and this is not to take Holy Cross off the hook, because Holy Cross should be more aware of behaviors that they do that would lead to something like this and lead to this kind of criticism. I would push back on them being worried about federal funds, because they're a private religious institution and they're one of the smallest recipients of federal dollars in the New England
Oh
region.
yeah, I didn't. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so they, and as far as I understand, the CIA program that used to operate there, well, at least publicly, it's no longer there.
Yeah, who knows though?
Who knows is there? But the CIA was Holy Cross's number one federal funder for like 60, 70 years. And so I just don't know how much other agencies. Now, the other thing is this is something we have to talk about, is that in the big, beautiful bill thing that was passed by Trump, um, they gave ICE $150 billion. So that's not a dollar, that's $150 billion. So another thing, so for the people that are critical of the kids, I want to point this out to you. And I'm not saying that what you've said isn't valid, because it is, but it's really difficult to tell a 21-year-old that not to go join ICE when they might be being offered, signing bonuses of $30,000 and salaries of 100 or 150,000, these big numbers, because they're not hitting their recruiting numbers. They're not, because they're just not. Part of it is because the press has been so vigilant on reporting the people who are becoming ICE agents, that people that might be qualified for that job aren't doing it. Um, and I'm of the mind that you know, I'm of the mind that it's hard to tell kids what to do, what that you might be offended by. You know what I mean? Like it's really difficult. There has to be a different way. Most of the people at the protest were local people, and I appreciate that, but there wasn't a lot of students there that were Holy Cross students. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially out of towner Holy Cross students. And of
Mm.
course, Holy Cross has the smallest of all the universities in Worcester. It has the smallest population of actual Worcester residents,
Right.
which of course is a constant source of tension between Holy Cross and the city. So I just think it's something that I think it's a broader topic, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
It's certainly a bad look at this moment for sure. I
yeah, it
just,
was.
yeah,
Yeah, dumb.
it's just like, I think they probably would have incurred wrath if they told them not to come too, right? So,
Yeah, I think that I'm sure the Zoom thing wasn't something that was taken lightly, but also, what'll happen next is now you probably get less transparency from them because they just won't announce it.
right, right.
Right. And as far as I understand, it was announced by a student organization, was the one that got it out. You know what I mean, to the
Mm.
to local people. So I think that what will happen is the university will just close ranks, and they're really good at keeping secrets up there. So they'll just shut it down. And so there was probably ICE people there today talking to people, and now you just
Probably.
won't you just won't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
All right. Uh, you've been you've been hearing criticism of. I've seen some as well, but yeah, you can start us off with criticism of the recount.
yeah, so I think that this is a really significant story that really kind of goes right at the heart of racism here in the city of Worcester. And um, so, obviously, Gemma Kamara finished 23 votes short of sixth place in the at large election race. 23 votes is a small number, and particularly it's smaller than the number of provisional ballots. So there was more than 100 provisional ballots. For those of you who don't know what a provisional ballot is, that means a ballot that a person cast, but at the time there was some issues with their identification and the address or something like that. It needed to be worked out. So those ballots were sealed by the voter themselves, and they're processed later than normal. There was more than 100 of those. I don't know the exact number because they don't have to give you the exact number until the final report when the Secretary of State certifies the election. Then you find out the exact number of provisional ballots, right? And which ones were accepted and which ones were rejected, because sometimes that happens. So that number of ballots has not been counted. So it's a reasonable request, in my opinion, for Gemma to ask for those ballots to be counted. And maybe in 100 potential ballots, she might have the ability to make up the difference of 23 votes. That's very possible. I don't think it's an abnormal request. So there's two kinds of recounts. There's a machine recount and there's a hand recount. It's up to the candidate that is asking for the recount to request one or the other. The machine recount is much cheaper. It's like 14 grand, and the hand recount is over $100,000. So the cost of the recount is not her fault. That's not her fault. That is the city's fault. That is on the city's responsibilities. But also, you have to deal with the fact that there are people that have to work. And Leanne just said, Mr. Warden, I am a warden for the elections department at the YMCA branch. What you don't understand in a recount, and I have actually participated in a small precinct recount one time where there was a mistake by the machine. One of the machines broke, and so they had to do a hand count of a bunch of the ballots. Is that it has to be done by 6 people. So there's a person who starts the count, and then it has to be verified 6 times, right? So that's the process that we've established, as a city and as a state, to make sure that people's votes are counted. I think that that's a good thing. Also, the two places that we do it in, which is the Lincoln Levi Room at the City Hall, and then at North High. North High, that's determined on a rotating basis, so it's a lottery basically. What would be the second site? So North High is where they're going to do it, right? you have to bring all the ballots, you have to bring all the people, you have to bring all the staff to do that. And then, of course, they're going to be documenting it. And both Mo Bergman and Gemma Kamara have requested volunteers to watch these counts, which are 4 hours long each time. So there's 4 days scheduled now, and each time there'll be 4 hours of ballot counting. So we're talking a long time, right? And so there's going to be people with cameras there recording it. The city's going to record it. All of this is done so we have an election that is fair and accurate. I think it's not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with asking for a recount in a very close election. Mistakes happen. Machines don't always work correctly. There's a lot of different things that can go wrong in an election. And so to see that level of criticism, and in particular, I want to call out Mo Bergman. So Mo Bergman, in his posts, has taken to referring to Gemma Kamara as the person who finished 7th. That is just ridiculous, Mo. But you can't mention her by name. So the person who finished 7th. So at this point, I think that Gemma has earned the right to be at least called by her name by Mo. Super disrespectful approach, very, very minimizing to her. But I have to say that I have to go by my personal experience. And in the time that I've lived in the city of Worcester, when it comes to who gets a voice and who doesn't get a voice, when it comes to Black and brown women, they're just suppressed at a level that other people are not. And so I think that if this was anybody else, if this was, for example, Dr. Mitra, who had finished in that position, no one would question it at all, right? If it was Mo who had finished in that position, no one would
No, that would
and
be
every single Mo voter would be out in force and, yeah, we want to count it and we're going to watch and we're going to do all this stuff. And so when she exercises her rights that we've afforded, that we've all agreed upon, the whole state, every apparatus has agreed upon this recount system, then we should be celebrating the fact that the system is working. Like it's if at least for us right now, right here, we have a chance to go in and see the system work. And it's a great opportunity to teach people, to engage people, to want to be a part of the voting process. So to criticize her is just stupid. It's just dumb. Now, the cost, I get it. But let me say something about the people who are Mo voters who have been on there complaining about the $100,000, right? $100,000. Mo Bergman recently called for the adoption of a drone policy that could lead to millions of dollars being spent for the city, but no one wants to complain about that. We have lawsuits against the city literally every other month that we have no oversight over, no transparency about, no discussion about, but we're going to complain about $100,000 to make sure that an election that came down to 23 votes is right? Are you serious right now? It's the most ridiculous thing. And so I really do. I appreciate Mark Henderson on Hank Stoll's show being a leader as a man and going on and pointing out the fact that the reason that this is happening is because she's a Black woman. It wouldn't have happened. Imagine if Candy had finished this close in the Rob Bellotto race, which she didn't. She got smashed by more than 10%. But if it was this close, could you imagine the Candy supporters coming out? Could you
oh my God.
imagine the posts on Facebook that you would be seeing? It would be unbelievable. And to Fred's point in the chat, everybody is getting recounted. It's not just the 6th to 7th place. The entire at-large election will be recounted, and I think that's not a bad thing. Why would that be a bad thing in any way, shape, or form? It's always good to double check. I see Leanne is in the chat too. So hey, Leanne handles all of our bookkeeping and our data operations for Hollywood and Manny J Media. She does the movie stuff for Tommy and I, right? It's good to double check. I've made mistakes with in fact, it actually just happened to me last week. I thought I canceled my BJ's membership and I didn't. And I got hit with the BJ's thing and I didn't have enough money in there at the time. And $60. And then you gotta go deposit checks and make sure you do the right thing. There's nothing wrong with double checking. And so I just want to stand up for Gemma and say, hey, this is good for our city. It's good for her. It's good for everybody to have a recount. And how cool of a process is it to be able to go see what a recount looks like? Shouldn't we all be interested in this? So I know that Tom and I are going to work out opportunities to cover this and write about it, and I just think it's good. And shouldn't kids know about this stuff? That's what's wrong, and it just boggles my mind. And I call on Mo Bergman to take down that post and change it to Gemma's name, and to take down the post where he says the candidate who finished seventh. I just think it's totally wrong. And it really serves to add to this kind of rhetoric here in the city of Worcester, where we're going after people who are marginalized on a regular basis. So, Mo Bergman, take down that post, and call Gemma by her name.
Yeah. I didn't. Is that true? Clorio won a school committee recount by won a school committee seat by recount. I don't remember that. Could have been before I was really dialed in. Though.
By 30. According to Jack,
I don't know. Yeah, it says a recount.
Yeah, I mean, if Jack's saying it's most likely.
She did, huh? What did that cost? Did they do a hand recount?
Like, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with the recount? There's nothing bad about it. It just
no, of course not. Of course not. Look, the difference is 0.020. Mr. Blutowski, 0.02%. I mean, you recount that. It's 24 votes or 23 votes.
In many other cities in Massachusetts, Tom, less than 50 votes automatically is recounted.
Really, and of course, what we do here, we don't, no whistleblower ordinance, no ethics policy. We just all rely on the state law, which is what we're doing here. This is the state law. Unless you have, you can have your own municipal law, but if you have no other law, you have the state law to rely on, this is the process. Yeah, I agree that recounts cost money. It's a very tight race. Both candidates, on the bubble here, spent lots of money and put lots of effort into campaigning. I've never seen anybody in this city work as hard as Gemma does on a campaign. And to put in all that work over a very long period of time, and you're that close, yeah, you want to recount. Of course you want to recount. If anything, just to make sure it's right. And when there's provisional ballots that are larger than the margin, especially then, because there's other votes that have been counted that are out there, right? So, that's the first thing. And the second thing, the number we spent $300,000 by January on the city did on an attorney that was hired to lie to us, and they paid him. And that was by January. God knows what they paid him by now. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what he could have possibly done because, of course, the federal government checked out of that process. To your point, that drone is first responder program, which they've lied to us 1,000 times about already.
Yeah.
For example, the city manager said in a city council meeting that these drones won't be manually deployed. They will be, quote, deployed by AI. Nobody has that in the country. No one has it in the country. No one has it in the country. It's coming, but nobody has it. Nobody has it. It's yet to happen.
He was watching Minority Report right before the city council meeting.
Right. And pilot's only going to cost $30,000. Yeah, I mean, I forget what city it was, Chula Vista, I think, that Councilor Toomey, because of course the police union told her she wants this, so she wants this. Mm-hmm. But the program is gonna likely run around $2 million in its third year, and there's no turning back. Once there's one, they're gonna do, they're gonna have these things across the city. Will they be deployed but through automation at some point? Yeah, it just won't be immediately. This will blow up the police department budget by significantly because it's going to take extra staff. That it's going to take more staff initially. The number of things that we spend money on. I mean, look, the mayor's complaining about the estimate of $600,000 for a civilian review board that he's going to vote against, and well, I mean, that is more than the city council budget that this city council will even fight for itself for. But nonetheless, but they don't do anything. So what do they need a budget for, right?
That's true. That's true.
But I mean, it's less than any number of many settlements now. And these are the people that don't want to do anything and are anti-oversight, and that's what they are. They're anti-oversight. Something that is built into the American system of governance. I mean, they thought of it more as founders thought of it more as like legislative inquiry, the power to inquire about policy, to make funding decisions. But I mean, it's oversight. That's what it is, and they abhor it. So I'm not really interested in what these people say about it.
It's funny, Natalie said that. So I was at that budget hearing, Natalie, and that is very true. I forget who it was. Not McGurdy, but like the person that's one or two below him, that was there to testify about the acquisitions process for the computers, and they said we think we can get another year or two out of these computers, which was awesome, right? And the thing is that one of the weird things about acquisitions when it comes to like electronics and equipment like that is that for municipality, for security purposes, you really do want everybody to be on the same type of computer at the same time. So if you upgrade the city manager's office and it's all X kind of laptops or X kind of desktops, and then the whatever department is not, guess what happens? Data breaches. That's what happens all over the world, right? So because the security protocols between computers are just not they're not the same. New York City, in fact, one of the big reasons why Cuomo didn't win, even, other than the fact he was touching every girl that he could see, one of the big reasons was when he was governor, they had done that big buy where they during COVID, where they bought a bunch of Apple laptops, and then but the rest of the state was all on Windows, and so it ended up causing like a bunch of things, and then they had to buy a bunch of Windows computers to make it work, and then they never got rid of those Apple computers, so they ended up just sitting like in the storage somewhere and then being sold off like on a municipal dump, right? So those kind of things happen all the time, and they spend money for no reason. They really should not be complaining about $100,000 for something that is a real expression of democracy. Right. I haven't, by the way, in everything that Gemma said, and I know everybody in the chat has read all the articles and all the posts. She didn't say anything like, I'm against the city, or I think there was something. It was just, hey, I think I need to express my right, and I have enough people on her team that volunteered for her and worked with her, and voters telling her, hey, please have a recount. So she's responding to her constituents. She also, by the way, had a vote total that in the last election would have gotten her in the top three. Right. So like, remember that amount of votes is a big number. It's 9,000 people that voted for her. It's good to keep track. And I agree with her picking the hand count, Tom, versus the machine recount.
They already did a machine count.
They did the machine. Yeah, exactly. So and the provisional ballots were not counted yet. That's another it's a really important thing to say. There are more votes that have yet to be counted than the difference in the election. And so I think it's a good thing to make sure that those votes get counted. And I know the clerk, and listen, I criticize the city for a lot of things all the time, but again, I work in the elections department, and the clerk's office does a good job. And I think that the people that they'll bring on will do a good job counting it. So I know some of the people that work there that are going to do this work, and I think it's good for the city for this recount to take place. It's not a bad thing. It's a good story. Either way, by the way, either result.
Yeah, I mean, the votes are what when it's all counted, it is what it is. That's it. Yeah. I've also seen people critical of the just regular folks, not necessarily people in government, on the cesspool that is social media, and of course it's all people who are very, very vocal about their support for the status quo, basically, and the institutional establishment candidates, whatever you want to call it, but so it's all very predictable. Look, if it was the other way around, it would be a whole different story. If it was Mo that was down 24 votes at the end, I have no doubt that he'd pull papers for a recount.
And he did. But
yeah,
just so you know, Mo did poll papers. He just didn't file them until once she filed them. He pulled the things. There is only one recount, though. There was a lot of confusion online. Our charter only currently as structured allows for
there is nothing in the charter about recount. This is based on state law.
Oh yeah, so one recount, one recount.
Yeah. I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying that it's state law, whatever it is.
Yeah, no. So just Mo had put out a statement saying that he pulled papers to protect his rights, whatever that means.
Yeah, I don't even know what that means.
I don't know. I'm not sure. He doesn't answer my questions all the time. So
yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's 0.02%. It's 0.02%.
Yeah, it was a good reason. The reason that they wait until election day is because that's the law as it's currently constituted, Leah. That's the answer to that. The law has it structured that way.
Yeah, I mean they start counting the early voting during the day, right? While voting's still happening.
Yeah, so usually around 10 o'clock, all the precincts we receive like a package of the early votes, and we start scanning them in then, and then when that happens, the mail-in ballots are counted at City Hall. So they're started. That's why usually right at 8 o'clock, if you go down to City Hall, you can see the processed early votes are already up there.
So yeah, I don't. Everybody just calm down. I don't know why you would criticize somebody with such a slight margin for for recount. It happens all the time. I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, but it happens all over the country here and there, right? Sometimes elections are super close, and they count, and they hand count. I don't. It's stupid.
And it's within the margin of sometimes those totals flip. It's within the margin of error. I mean, 23 votes is just such a small amount of votes that it could very easily have been, ballots stuck together. There's a whole bunch of reasons why you would see this potential vote change, and so it's a valid reason. Now, again, I don't know if it will change or not. I just think it's good to have. Yeah, I think there's definitely a chance that she picks up votes because again, the provisional ballots, right? So those are going to get processed and counted for sure. I don't know how many of them got rejected because that's what we'll find out. We'll find out in the well, a lot of the people have been angry, Fred, online, and I've seen you interact with them. So I don't want to get into back and forth with you. There's a bunch of people who have criticized her asking for this recount. So one particular political page, which will not be named, and is afraid to face me on TV, is not pro a recount.
No, it's funny. I do that. I do a show he calls into every day. Every week at the same time on Wednesday, and he always manages to send text messages to that show, but never calls.
He doesn't call in when you're there? Wow.
No.
That's strange. That's interesting.
He's actually been invited on to this show to have a one-on-one with me. Standing
invitation.
Yep. I'll go. I'd go on his. I guess he has a podcast. I don't know. I never heard it, but I'd go on his. And he'd just yell at me the whole time, probably not let me talk, which would just show him for what he is. But too scared.
I think that again, I mean, all the people that I saw reacting this way are scared.
Yes.
Right. Which is funny because they still have a majority. So I don't know why they're so scared.
Right.
It's just that, Mo's their guy. And I get that too. By the way, Mo got 9,000 plus votes too. He just happened to get 23 more votes than Gemma. So I'm not saying that he doesn't have a constituency too. And I'm sure there's some level of crossover between the two voter groups. And so he deserves to have his recount and, make sure that the votes are counted too. It's good for him as well. And, there's potential that it could shift the whole order of at large. It's very possible. You never know what happens in a recount. We don't know. We just don't know.
Yeah. I mean, and look, it's assuming there's only 100 provisionals, right? Because we don't know, but assuming there's only 100, I mean, is it likely that the outcome changes? Probably not, but it's
Probably.
certainly worth counting,
Yeah.
given the difference is so slight. So,
Yeah. And then
and certainly within the margin of error.
From 6 to 8, it was less than 150, 100, less than 200 votes. We talked about that last week. So there's four people. It's good for everybody to have a recount. So recounts are good. I'm pro recount, and Mo should just take down that post or just change it and put her name in there, saying the seventh place candidate is such a dog whistle. Everybody knows what that is. We all know what you're doing there, and it's just just stop doing that. Don't do that. And I'm going to call that kind of stuff out because it was so obvious when you saw it that was what the intention was. And of course, all of his supporters, the rancid kind of people, they jump on there and they just start hammering her like she did something wrong. And so it's a rhetorical position to take, and I get it. But it's something that we really, really, really need to push back on, is that kind of sneaky, wink, wink, nod attack that goes on in the city of Worcester.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
in
know
the
if
it's in the description, Leanne.
I don't know if I don't know if it's necessarily a dog whistle, but it's certainly I mean, what's what's the point of that? It's stupid. It's just stupid. It's just treating her less than because I don't know. She hasn't been on the city council to do nothing for 10 years.
So again, just do the recount and celebrate the functioning of our municipal government. Right? They say all the time they want us to cheer for the city when it does something right. In this case, this is right. So let's do it right. Right? Let's do it. Let's support it.
Yeah. And I mean, no doubt, I'm sure Nico and his team in the clerk's office will do a wonderful job.
I think they do a great job with the election, and they deserve credit in that area.
Yep. So there's a new report out, which of course the Demon Caucus in the school committee has jumped all over naturally because they just can't want to throw more kids out of school, and it says that there's been a somewhat significant increase in violence in schools, specifically targeted at faculty members. Being involved in not being involved in, but being the subject of violence, right? I think it's important to note that while you're only seeing comparisons to last year, is because they changed the criteria by which they measure a lot of this. So there's only 1 year of historical data really to look at because it's a different kind of using a different measuring stick, right? And so that's important to note first. That doesn't diminish the that there appears to be more incidents than last year. However, why school committee candidates are using this topic as a cudgel, I just don't understand.
It's interesting the level of oversight that the school committee is willing to do on students that the city council is not willing to do on the city. Right? So there are 3 members of the school committee who have hammered students the last 2 years, and this is their legacy. The legacy of Maureen Bienda, Deanne Ban, Cheria, and Kathy Roy for the last 2 years is that they have proven that they hate students. They truly do, and they just want to make sure that they're viewed as criminals and focused on their behavior, and that is their number one thing. Not them learning, but their behavior.
Yep.
Now, it's not to say that we don't want a system that creates a safe environment for students and teachers. Of course you do. Everybody wants that. But the reason they wanted this to be a topic is because of their number one issue. They all ran on it. They all talk about it all the time, which is returning police officers to schools. That's what they want. It's the only reason why this thing is out there. It wouldn't otherwise be. It's the only reason why it was leaked to the three big press agencies in the city all at the same time. That was the reason why they did that. So the fact of the matter is, Tom, is that it's really important to point out what you said, that the way that we measured these things has changed literally from last year. This is only the second time this report has been issued. And Diane made this big like stink, like, hey, when are we going to get that report? This is the same time that they put out the report last year. So it's just 1 year later, they issued another report, and it came right around the same time last year. A big thing that is not in this, and part of the reason they implemented that, and I'm pretty sure Diane and Maureen and Kathy voted for this in a unanimous vote. I have to track down the exact day, but they don't identify students any longer who commit multiple infractions. And they did that to protect students' identification, right? And names. And I don't remember exactly when that was, but that was done in this term. So there are several students who have behavioral issues that have been talked about in many scenarios. That I think Jermaine Johnson asked this question last Thursday, that you have folks that have significant problems, some students, and they lead to multiple incidents being reported. Also, sometimes in the violent incident, you have a major violent and a minor violent. Sometimes in the report, you get two different things reported by different staff, right? So Tom and I both see a fight in the hallway. Tom looks at it as a minor fight. I look at it as a major fight. It goes down in the system as two reports. And if there's more than one student, there's now four reports. And so now you really start to understand how school reporting is done. Now, it's not to say that that's not important either. It is important to get multiple perspectives when you're having violence in the schools, because there is some, and there always is going to be some. But for it to be used in this way, Tom, it's just nonsense, because there's more questions that come out of this than answers. Because I want to know, hey, what teachers report? Is there a teacher that reports things more often than others? Because that's always an issue, right? Is there one teacher that views things as being an issue? Is there certain classrooms where you're always having kids sent to the principal's office? That's a teaching issue more than necessarily a student issue. Classroom climate, all that kind of stuff is something that it has been a long topical conversation, especially with the difference in generations. There's still a old guard of teachers who teach in one way, and there's a younger set of teachers that teach in a different way. And so the old guard might take certain things the wrong way, and the younger teachers might not take that at all. And so then you might have a student who's sent to the principal's office in one class but not the other. So is that something that we want to report to the news? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree, and I found it interesting that I think it was member Biancaria, specifically made a reference in her statement to, we don't want to throw more kids out of school. Yes, you do. That's all you talk about.
Because all this does is lead to more kids getting thrown out of school.
Yeah, because in her own words from the budget process, I think a year before last, some kids actually want to learn, like other kids don't.
Yeah, which again, when you see those statements, it's always like, what's the other thing that happened? What's the thing that is being left out? And it's just this indication. And I always notice that they focus on certain schools too, certain schools in certain districts, and it's just it's like, okay, I mean, and I understand that. I understand that there's a time and place in our society when everything is looked at with suspicion, and everything is this and everything is that. But man, damn, does this group of people consistently go after one neighborhood and one set of schools and one group of kids super consistently? It's just, whew, it just boggles my mind. The other thing too is, at this point, I don't even know if the police unions really want to be back in the schools, because you don't really see.
I'm sure they do. I mean, it's just it's just somebody else getting paid. That's their job, right?
Right, but at the same time, I mean, with body camera provisions, with other kind of stuff, I mean, man, we're really asking a lot to put officers who, realistically, school officers should be specially, if you're going to have any kind of security personnel within a school system, they need to be specially trained. They need to be teachers. They need to be people that are educators, or at least para-educators, right? Because then they'll understand the what happens in school. Now, I want to ask this to the chat. Here's a great example, and this is something straight out of my own life. I was in a fight in 11th grade. I'll never remember. I was a junior in high school, and I was in a fist fight. It was epic, and yes, I won. I won that fist fight. I was not expelled from school. I wasn't, and it was actually one of the better moments I think that maybe happened with me and a teacher. The I think it was the vice principal of the school at the time. He took me to the gym. He took me to the gym, and he put me in like the room that they did for like in school suspension, and he made me wait there. He sat with me, and then eventually they got the other kid, and they brought him to the gym. I was in foster care. Okay, so they brought my foster parents to school, and they brought his parents to school, and they made us sit and say and apologize to each other like across the way, and kind of. But they didn't call the police. We didn't go to jail. We had a fight. Is that
Yep.
what do you want? Is that what you're looking for? And it's gonna happen when you have kids from different neighborhoods coming to school. And that's what happens in the city of Worcester. Worcester is a very, very different city. It has a lot of different populations from a lot of different cultures and a lot of different neighborhoods all feeding into the high school and junior high school system. And so you have to be aware that there's gonna be conflict. There's going to be conflict. And
Kids fight
so
sometimes.
yeah, kids fight. Kids say crazy stuff sometimes. You know what I mean?
Much rather
So
them fighting than shooting each other.
yeah, 6'7", 6'7".
Yeah, and this is just another, this infatuation with putting cops in schools. First of all, police officers are not security guards, and that's not the job we should be asking them to do. We ask the police officers already to do entirely too much. The whole response to anything is, well, just send the cops.
Yeah.
I heard a few weeks ago that there was something happened with a fifth grader, a fifth grader, a fifth grader in that school called the police. What?
Yeah.
No.
That's why I want to know. I want further questions. I want the school committee to do its job and investigate those things. Who is calling the police or who is looking for intervention at the highest rate? And is there an issue there? Because that's my first thing to do is look at the adults, not the kids. It's all
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like there's got to be something to be said about handling stuff. Now I would point out this, and I noticed that they didn't say this in the reporting. The number of weapons was down. Top. The
Yep.
number of guns was down. The number of knives was down. Why aren't they celebrating that?
Because it doesn't fit the narrative.
It doesn't fit the narrative, right? So you have more reports, but you have less serious violence because there was less guns and less knives. The fact that there's any guns in school is really scary. There shouldn't be
Wild.
any. I don't know how that happens. I don't know why that happens, and I don't want to criticize any particular group of people. I just don't understand how that happens. That's scary. Of course, we live in an area, since 1999. Obviously, school shootings just all over the place. We don't want to see that. That's never happened here. We don't want that to happen here. And so we want to make sure that that doesn't take place. So I get how serious we need to react, right, to certain things. But we also overreact to things too, right? So, Fred just said second grader, Tom said fifth grader. If a second or a fifth grader makes a threat that is really bad, the adults should be able to handle the threat of the second grader. I mean, that's a,
Seriously.
I don't know. I mean, maybe not. Maybe you can't, deal with it. But I just feel like there's things that kids say that they probably are over expressing themselves, and it's very unlikely that they have the things that they have. They might be threatening things, and then of course, because you have to understand it's entered the popular lexicon, right? School shootings, threats, all that stuff happens all the time. So a kid who is going to say that at some point that isn't that. That happens. Right. See, I'm glad committee member Johnson came into the chat. I appreciate that you're here. And I heard your question specifically about having more information. And so that's great. That's great. See, we have a reactive and a proactive school committee that is going to go into this report and find out what's going on. And so I really appreciate that. Thank you, Member Johnson, for coming to the show. Thank you for being here as yourself and not just hanging out in the chat and pretending you're not here. like some of our school committee members and city council members do on a regular basis. I appreciate that that he's here as himself. That's great.
Yeah, and you know, you often hear about this about cops in schools is, well, we want kids to learn blah 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 blah, or whatever, you know, whatever it is. They want to like condition them that cops aren't bad or whatever. This is not. It's a school. It's
Yeah.
not a propaganda center. Like, that's not what they're there for. And listen, police officers' job is to arrest people. Arresting kids is bad. The outcomes are always bad.
Always bad. Always bad. The
So,
statistics are unbelievable. The science behind it is unbelievable.
right. But that's you know, but you know, looking at things scientifically, or you know, using the scientific method to analyze things. Well, 3 members of the school committee find that to be you know, woke stuff. So, I guess we should all just stop, you know, using analytical thinking and just react to everything with what our gut tells us. Who's that sound like?
So I mean, I think is all. One thing I will say about this report is that I hope that a lot of parents did get engaged by the media reporting on this enough that they would come and participate in school committee meetings and in the process that determines how schools are operated in the city of Worcester. Because there's a ton of parents not involved. They just drop their kids off and that's it. And then, you know, they find out about it later on the news. And so that's what we don't want. We want engaged parents. The science for that is also off the charts. When you have parents who are engaged in the school process, and I'm not saying engaged to be arguing with teachers about your kids' grades. I'm saying engaged with the process of your kids' learning and development process. You know what we have? We have the science that shows that leads to positive outcomes for society and for the individual, right? And so we want a positive environment for the school system in the city of Worcester, and we want those things to continue. But leaking stuff to the media and creating a narrative around a report that doesn't exactly say what you say it says is not a great thing. It's not a great
thing. But I mean, look, we have a school committee member who just posted recently that you know, restorative justice doesn't work because she wants punitive justice against children because she's a demon.
Oh, there's a great thing. So, you know, again, you know, some of the folks in the chat know that I've been part of different restorative justice programs since 2016, various ways, including myself, for different reasons. And you know, restorative justice, implemented in large cohorts, has incredible scientific data to support how it reduces first of all, it is a huge factor in reducing recidivism, and it is a huge factor in establishing someone's reintegration into society. So when you have a restorative justice based schooling operation, what you do is you prevent kids from ever getting into the system to begin with, because we don't want kids getting arrested. It doesn't help. It does not help. The data is clear. 100 years later, we have data. When you arrest kids, you know what it leads to? More crime. It just leads to more crime. The data is 100% there. It's backing it up. And so at this point, they're arguing a losing scientific battle. It's completely based on populism and rhetoric. And it's all, you know, kind of really based on nonsense and them wanting to feel comfortable and safe. And the only way they feel safe, apparently, is with a uniformed police officer. And so, you know, again, that just doesn't lead to the outcomes that they're saying it leads to. It actually leads to worse outcomes. And by the way, you have the data going back now in time when we had police in schools in Worcester. So you can actually look this up yourselves, and you can see that the outcomes were worse. They were worse. And so, you know, you know, pushing for it this way to try to basically shame other, you know, school committee members into voting for what you want. At least on this little section of the media, we're not going to let it happen.
Yeah, facts. So we're blessed with a lame duck city council meeting on Tuesday.
Yes, we are.
Somehow the mayor's order that he said he put on during the debate related to civilian review boards, somehow it didn't make the agenda again.
Shocker. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yes. This. You don't make ridiculous statements off the cuff because you think the world conforms to what the stuff you made up in your head. You look at data.
You have a conversation, and you have an open, transparent conversation, and it leads to better results for our kids.
Mr. Rizzuti, hello, sir. Best of luck to you, sir. And I mean that with my whole chest. Best of luck to you. I hope that situation you're dealing with right now works out as best as it can for you. Going to the city council meeting on Tuesday. I'm gonna pick on the mayor. So he brought some tiff for I don't know what could be possibly the motivation for this, but he's bringing up the TIF for Curtis Apartments back up. I'm not sure why, but of course, as soon as I see he mentioned the rules, right? So the order of the mayor, in accordance with Rule 30 of the rules of the city council, the mayor requests reconsideration of this vote taken in last month. Here we are at the rules. So, and I know that this is like not the most exciting thing, so I'll be real quick. Yeah, I know. I should stop by and see you. Actually, we should meet.
Okay.
I've said a lot of things about your case. Many things. Not always well received by some in the city, but that's okay. So just to want to go over really quickly how ridiculous the rules of our city council are. Rule 2 is the rights and duties of members, and basically this is in here. I'll put it on the screen because why not? I'm not going to read all the rules. My good God. As soon as there we go. Okay. So we're looking at right. So this is they can put, this is what we're really focused on here. Put items on the city council calendar, and this has somehow been interpreted as they can put anything they want on the agenda. A councilor can, but then you go down to Rule 11, right? And somehow this proprietary. Nope, that's not it. Propriety of items, or report of any description which deals with personalities or with matters not within the general supervision and or relating to city government. But so if Rule 11 doesn't apply to councilors because of Rule 2, then why in the world would you think that Rule 30 applies to councilors? And that's the 90-day rule. You can't bring the same item back for 90 days. What? So I don't understand it. Like, how are we supposed to read these rules? And the thing is we're not reading the rule. We're just making it up as is appropriate for the benefit of the majority of the city council.
This is great. This is so good.
I don't understand it. If Rule 2 exempts you from Rule 11, how does it not exempt you from Rule 30?
Oh, it's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
And nobody will answer the question. I actually, it wasn't me. I think it was my friend Brian, like 2 years ago. Maybe it was it might have been the last session even, asked for an interpretation of this, of how Rule 2 applies to Rule 11 and Rule 30. Or maybe it was a different rule, how it applies. But nonetheless, it was basically that question, right? Like, how does this work? No answer. One of the many orders they blew off. The administration blew off because for some reason you have to ask the city solicitor about the rules of city council, which also makes no sense and is basically a total disrespect of everything that the founders taught us about the separation of powers. I wish that they would stop. I really think that they should stop doing the Pledge of Allegiance and all that before the meetings. And I think we should all take a collective field trip out to the Common. And every week, Joe Petty can light a new founder on fire in effigy, because at least it would be disgusting. Don't get me wrong, but at least it would be honest.
Oh my goodness!
Stodward Madison, he was the big one on Stodward Madison. He was the one that described the Massachusetts Constitution, the Separation of Powers Clause, as as a model. So, okay.
So there's one item on the agenda that I'm really excited about, and it would be great if you put it on screen. So 13A,
I
I'm
would be
very
happy to.
excited about 13A. I think everybody will see why my excitement exists in a second. This is very cool.
Uh-oh, I lost it.
Maybe
no,
someday, Leanne, that would be interesting to see Tom run for city council. All right, so 13A.
Oh,
this
it'd
is
be
from
the ugly. Let me tell you, it would be the ugliest campaign this city has ever seen because I will go after absolutely everybody.
So 13A, I will say this. I'm gonna do something that you've never expected me to do on this show right now. And I want to say thank you very much to the Committee on Public Safety. I went to this meeting 2 weeks ago to discuss the drone problem, and I brought up several issues with having the city manager issue a drone report. And I am ecstatic that all 5 of my questions have been included in the item. All 5 of my questions have made it to this item, and I'm so excited about it. It's nothing. So, big thing. Number 1, it should include the following information. So, who is responsible for monitoring the drone's data? So, there's this thing where the drones are like spitting out information at the scene. What happens to that data? Who does it go to? Where does it end up? What is it recorded somewhere? Is there a place for us to do it? Is it subject to public records requests? Yada yada yada. 2, the process relative to relaying that to the public. Should it be available in the same way that body camera stuff is available? I brought this up. If it's recording stuff, video, heat signatures, whatever, at the scene of a police deployment, we should have access to that immediately. Number 3,
Correct.
how do you utilize the drones during an investigation? In the report that was presented to the city council and then to the public safety committee, there was eight incidents of the drone's use, and in several cases, they were celebrated publicly as somehow solving the crime. Well, tell me how they did it. How did the drone lead to the thing being solved? Because in most of the reports that I saw, the drone was called for and it did number 4, overwatch. What overwatch is the drone is parked above the building and it's doing, like reconnaissance operations. And then the trainings. One of the things that they said was for training was when they deployed the drone to Polar Park for the baseball game between the firefighters and the police department. Speaking of firefighters, you guys lost. You're not doing John any favors by losing to the police. So the baseball training needs to start for the fire department right now. And then number 5, what are the costs related to the deployment? Like how much? So what we saw, the only thing that we have is an item for the cost of the drones from 4 years ago, right? That's when the drones were purchased. What we don't know is how much the officer who operates the drone, the supervisors involved, yada, yada, yada. How much does each drone cost? And why is that not broken out? Like in Tom's reporting in related to Clara Vista, California, they no longer break out the cost. So we don't even know what our current drone program actually costs. And so this report, and I believe me, I will be there front and center on Tuesday to make sure I point out to the city manager that the reason that these are on there is to ask him how much it really costs. We should know what that is, and it should be broken out separately in the police budget. Thank you very much. And thank you to Public Safety Chair Kate Toomey. This is the best item she's ever added to the to the city council agenda. I applaud her. I am very grateful for that item being added. Actual, real, opportunity for accountability and oversight of a really kind of secretive program that we don't know what's going on. We should know what's going on. Trumped.
I also actually I'm going to put it on. The next item is interesting too. How about we also compare other statistics about the cities in question, like crime rate. Why don't we make some argument that this is actually needed and not just wanted?
Right.
And if it's not crime rate, if it's number of fires or some other, like, present some data besides, well, the police want it, and so therefore it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because after all, didn't you see them campaigning for us last week, so now we got to pay our debt.
I would say this. I know that I've been loud about the drone thing and other issues too, not just the drones. And then Tom and I both reported on it. I want to encourage anybody in the chat that believes that an issue needs to be brought up. If you remember, they have been super critical of us, and the only thing that has gotten them to do this is constant, consistent public pressure. It's not going through the committees. It's not doing everything right. It's posting on Facebook and posting on Reddit and writing articles and calling people and constantly, because this is the kind of accountability that we don't have in the city. We just don't. And so we really should consistently push for these things. And talk about it. We have one of our things. Yes. Someone brought up there were several fire items in the agenda as well, related to the schools. And there's several other things happening. Two, keep in mind for people in the future, the reconstruction of the South Division Firehouse. That is going to be something that is going to come up next spring, and be ready. There's going to be a big conversation about this because of the movie that we're doing, Burning Down the House, Hollywood. So that's me, Tommy, Leanne. It's a film that we're producing, and we've got a lot of pushback for filming that movie. a lot of it's been not easy to do because when you see some of the conditions that are there, you're going to be blown away by it, truly blown away. So.
I am also a big fan of this item for not. I'm being a little facetious. We want to do a study of all parking garages in the city and provide a city council with a plan relative to mitigating lithium-ion battery risks. I can think about 40 things that we could study that would be, more useful than the 12 people that have lithium-ion batteries in the city in their cars. Like, seriously. It's not 12, it's way more than that. But I mean,
what is this, like someone who has a Prius? I don't get it.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I think those are in hybrids too. That's the same thing there, right? Even if it runs on gas, sometimes it's running on battery at times. But I think it's more prominent in like super rich douchebaggy guy. There's cars. Why can't I think of it?
Oh, okay.
Teslas. That's at least what gets all the press about these battery overheats, and they tend to they explode at times. I guess I don't know a ton about it, but I just don't like. Has that ever happened in the city?
Oh, there's an interesting one there too. 14M.
And we'll do the affordable housing one in a second.
I don't know what that one is.
It's 14F.
No, 14M is the
I'm trying to get it in screen because it's large. All right.
14. Councilor King coming up with the so if you guys know that this is something that people in the chat might not know, but the DCU Center is actually one of the places in New England where you have a ton of rodeos throughout the year. It's one of the events that makes money for the city manager's operation over there at the DCU Center. I know that he gets his DCU outfit on and shilling candy.
Yep. Works at the concession stand. That's the only way he can operate.
Concession stands. Because we can't have a grocery store that he works at, but we can have a.
No, because we can't have a grocery store because he'd have to put his butcher's uniform on. So he must be selling concessions at the DCU.
Absolutely. So this is a great item, and I'm excited that Councilor King is getting this on there. So I think there was one recently at the DCU Center where those electric shock cattle prods. If you ever seen them, those are those big sticks where it looks like bolts of lightning shoot out of the end of the stick. Like, it's crazy how they it's wild. And so there's like TikTok videos that have gone viral related to it. But they're illegal as far as I understand. And so that if they were actually used in the city, then whoever was using them was probably breaking the law. And so it's good that Councilor King is getting this on there. Again, more accountability, more oversight. There's all kinds of stuff happening in the city that people don't even know about. So good for Councilor King throwing that on there.
And 14F, I think, is what Fiona was asking about. A recommendation related, asked the city manager for a recommendation related to establishing a citywide zoning affordable housing overlay, which would provide density bonuses and streamlining permitting to developers of 100% affordable housing projects. That seems like it's worthwhile.
Yeah, I think I mean zoning review in general, Tom, is something that it really needs to be talked about. I get it, and this is part of what the majority of voters are afraid of, is talking about zoning reform, because they don't want big apartment buildings being built over by Indian Lake. That's really what it comes down to, folks, is that folks in that area don't want big apartment buildings. The problem is, at the same time, those same folks want to restrict height developments downtown. Right. So the same folks that vote against zoning changes in, the kind of, District 1 and the Holden border and that kind of area, the same people who vote against that will also put pressure against downtown for being able to build larger buildings. And the fact is that you can't have both. You're either going to have to go up or go out. Right. And you're running out of room. there's only so much land in the city. And the other thing is, the same thing happens to the buildings that are owned by the city, Tom. There's a huge resistance from that crowd to be able to open up those buildings. There's, the last time George Russell brought it up on the floor, there's like 80 something properties that are owned by the city that are vacant. They are just completely and utterly vacant properties. And so opening up those for sale, like if someone wants to buy them, Councilor Attell had brought up the idea of making those properties available only to Worcester residents for sale, right? Instead of just selling them all to big developers or real estate speculators. Those are things this is kind of conversation that you have to have. So zoning reform in general, if we're all believing that we're going to have a bunch more people moving into the city, at some way or another, you're going to have to go up or out. So if you don't want to go out into Indian Lake, guess where we're going to have to go, Tom? We're going into the sky. And so we need those zoning reforms. We need density reform. You need parking reform. You need people being willing to go into the brownfields remediation fund. I know that $32 million has just been sitting there for years and years and years, and people don't want to use it. But eventually the state's going to take that back if we don't use it. So we got to get that money and start using it to build the things that we need here in the city of Worcester. By the way, if the city wants to throw me a big piece of land, I'm down to build whatever you want.
I don't think that's how it works.
Don't they just do that? They don't just hand out the land? They don't just do it like that? Just give me a parcel. Give me a parcel and a bunch of money. I'll get a building up and running, tomorrow. Leanne will help me. We'll do some carpentry.
You got anything else you want to deal with on said agenda?
That's it. That's all I had. I'll probably do a preview on Tuesday, but it'll probably be the same items we just covered in the show.
All right. I think that brings us to John's favorite part of the show.
Oh my goodness. And it's only 1 hour and 18 minutes into the show. That means we're going to get applause from the chat. Everybody in the chat go, yeah.
Yay, we didn't do a 3-hour show. Yay.
We didn't stay up for 2 hours. Yeah. Everybody happy? All right. So we the last show, we had a favorite thing, and then we received news in the middle of the favorite thing, and the news did not make us happy.
John shut it down. John was like, "We're gonna get out of here. You're gonna lose your mind."
We needed to get out of there. And by the way, for those loyal fans, those thousands of people who watch the show every week, Tom and I, we had a complaining session immediately afterwards. So
did we ever?
Oh, did we ever? We definitely went into it. All right, so Tom, there is a holiday season approaching, and it's the holiday that is often the most neglected in between the run between Halloween and, of course, the end of the year, and that is our favorite gathering time, the historical event of Thanksgiving, right? And so I don't want to get into all the history of Thanksgiving. Not great. Sometimes made up completely. But it is the day that we got to eat a bunch of stuff. And so, Tom, I remember that last year, I think we talked about your favorite Thanksgiving tradition. This time, we're going to ask Tom his favorite Thanksgiving food, right? Because we know everybody eats around that time. So, Tom, and then everybody in the chat contribute your favorite Thanksgiving dish. Please let's get them going. I want everything. Line them up. Put your recipes in there.
First off, the maybe the greatest theatrical depiction of Thanksgiving was in the old Addams Family movie. So I just want to give a shout out to that. If you don't remember that, you're missing out. The kids do they basically take the settlers hostage and whatnot. It's hysterical. The kids do a play. They're doing like a play, and they flip the whole thing and light the whole place on fire, and it's absolutely hysterical. So you go first.
It's turkey. It's turkey all day. It's and specifically it's leftover turkey for turkey sandwiches for the 2, 3, 4 days afterwards, right? Slap a little piece, just like cold white bread, American cheese, turkey in a sandwich with a little mustard, and just smash that and then take a nap for 3 or 4 days afterwards. I am pro turkey. It's the only time of the year that you can really eat turkey. And not dry turkey. I prefer the correctly cooked big bird. But yeah, I would say turkey is for me. Yum, no, 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 no.
I mean, a dessert's legit because I mean, I know it's very, very cliche, but I mean, apple pie is where it's at.
Apple pie.
As like a not packed with sugar food.
Okay.
I mean,
Fiona throwing recipe in the chat.
Yeah, throwing everything in the chat, everything. Throwing a whole meal in the chat. I'm just gonna keep it simple, like mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes, little butter.
Turkey's fine, but like, get some gravy on there. My mom's also likes to. She does like asparagus wrapped in phyllo and baked, which is always good. I don't know what else she does. Some of the magic she does to it, I don't know. Which is kind of I don't think a lot of people do that, but I like it. But yeah, I'll go with the standard mashed potatoes.
I know some people do the ham, and I know Maria's in the chat, so she can tell us some. But I've definitely attending the Hispanic church. I definitely had a ton of pernil around this time of year, and I can't complain about that. Over the yellow rice, muy bueno. All right, Tom. That means that you've been able to survive a Tom's favorite things with very little stress today. I feel like very little stress.
Yeah, it was that was sometimes you stress me out with these, but today was not that day.
It was a low stress thing. Please, everybody, like, follow, and share This Week in Worcester. And please pay attention for some really significant reporting that we have coming out over the next couple of weeks. We have a bunch of stories that we're working on, and there's some big time stuff there. And so just be ready for some really cool stuff coming out of your local online newspaper, This Week in Worcester. We're better than everybody else.
We cannot break bread with you.
Huh? Becky, what's going on?
Wednesday! You have taken the land which is rightfully ours.
We can't really do that. So I'm going to stop it there, but it's hysterical. I just want to give you a little taste. If we play the whole thing, probably get flagged. So I don't want to do that. Copyright and everything. But the video is called Addams Family Values Thanksgiving Play. Addams Family Values Thanksgiving Play. You can find it on YouTube. It's hysterical. Still, like 25 years later. So yes, look for that tomorrow. It is. We're excited because I think we're going to be the first to it. It's really John's work, but it's not uplifting stuff. But nonetheless, so professionally excited, but I'm not going to bring good news. But it is certainly worth checking out. So that should be to you tomorrow afternoon.
And check out the Worcester Cowboys 12 and under team. They're, like I said, they're one game away. If they win next Saturday, they would be advancing to the national championships in Florida, and so they're raising money to be able to pay for like the plane tickets and stuff. So check out the Worcester Cowboys 12 and under team. Check them out.
And of course, you can join John at City Hall on Tuesday.
Oh yeah, and I'll be on TV tomorrow.
What's that?
I'll be on TV tomorrow. Spectrum. It's a Spectrum day, and then Tom every Wednesday on Hank Stoll's show. In first thing in the morning with Mark Henderson and Hank Stolz.
Yeah, 8 a.m. And I think that TV show runs on the weekend. You'll record tomorrow, but it runs on the weekend. Yeah.
Although we're pushing for them to just put us on the news every day because look at this. Look at this. Don't you want this on your local news? Right? Don't you want this on your local news? Right? Look at this. Look at this beard, bro. I would be dope on TV. Put some makeup on this guy. Get me going. Teleprompter and everything.
God help us. All right, everybody, have an amazing week. We will see you next week at, as always, 8:35. Probably have more to yell about by then because we'll have a city council meeting and that will annoy me. Until then, have a great week. Kill it at whatever you do. Have a great week. Bye.